Hello and welcome to India Business Hour. I'm Arundhati Ramnan and here are the headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. The sell-off intensifies on Dalal Street. Nifty hits a 5-month low and is down 10% from record levels. 20 lakh crore rupees in investor wealth wiped out in the last 3 sessions. Muted debut for Swiggy on Dalal Street. Stock lists at an 8% premium but sees strong buying thereafter. The food delivery app's market cap crosses 1 lakh crore rupees, similar to what Zomato achieved on listing day. SoftBank holds on to its 8% stake in Swiggy, did not sell shares in the offer for sale. India head Sumer Juneja says Swiggy has significant headroom for growth, also signals potential stake sale in Ola Electric in a thoughtful and gradual manner once the 6-month lock-in ends. NTPC Green will launch its 10,000 crore rupee IPO on the 19th of November. Shares will be offered in a price band of 102 to 108 rupees. This will be the third largest IPO this year after Hyundai India and Swiggy. US President-elect Donald Trump picks Elon Musk and former Republican presidential aspirant Vivek Ramaswamy to lead a new Department of Government Efficiency, aims to provide advice and guidance from outside the government to help dismantle bureaucracy, cut wasteful expenditures and restructure federal agencies. Israeli army continues to pound Gaza and Lebanon, killing close to 90 people in the last 24 hours. Palestinian medical officials claim missiles struck a makeshift cafeteria inside an Israel-declared humanitarian zone. Donald Trump picks Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee as the next ambassador to Israel. Supreme Court comes down heavily on demolition of properties of those accused of a crime, terms bulldozer actions a chilling sight and rules the executive cannot replace the judiciary, lays down stricter guidelines and makes the officers directing demolitions personally responsible in case of wrongful action. 43 seats go to polls in Phase 1 of Jharkhand Assembly elections. 683 candidates in the fray. It's a two-way battle between BJP-led NDA and the JMM-led India bloc. Government issues guidelines to crack down on misleading advertisements by coaching centers, prohibits false claims like 100% selection and guaranteed job security, among others. Those were the headlines that we're tracking for you this evening, but let's start with the market action of the day, where the sell-off is only intensifying. Stocks declined for the 5th straight session, with the Nifty hitting its lowest level in 5 months. In a sense, gains made over the last 5 months have been wiped out in 5 days. Nifty is now down 10% from its record highs. Sensex lost nearly 1,000 points today. Mid-caps and small-caps saw sharper cuts, and there was simply no place to hide. 8 lakh crore rupees in market capitalization was wiped out today. 20 lakh crore rupees in wealth eroded over the last 5 sessions. Prashant Nair is here with a market wrap. Prashant, markets under pressure. It's red all across the screen today.
Well, the pressure on the market continues. The market today on the Nifty from the all-time highs entered the 10% plus zone in terms of a correction. And for the Nifty Bank, about 7.5. For the mid and small cap indices, about 11.5% respectively from the highs. The pressure did not stop today. So yesterday was a 300-point cut on the Nifty. And today, we sort of roundabout, we had another 300-point fall. Advanced decline, pretty poor, some 10:1 in favor of stocks which were lower. So that kind of told you what kind of a day we had. So I'll start with large caps, which saw the maximum pressure. Hero, top of the list in terms of cuts. There was Hindalco, Tata Steel from the metal space. Mahindra & Mahindra, Eicher and BEL were some of the names which came in for some thrashing. Actually, nothing noteworthy on the upside. So it tells you the story. In the broader market, lots of damage done. Suzlon from highs of 80 plus is now in the 50s. Big cut today. Motilal Oswal, big outperformer, pullback. GNFC, Greaves Cotton was another one. Anant Raj, HBL was down 7%. There were names like Techno Electric, Time Technoplast, both down 7-8% respectively. Suprajit Engineering, Sudarshan Chemicals is in the 900s handle. Varroc Engineering was another one which is down quite a bit. There were movers on the upside as well, but nothing very large. Piramal Pharma It's come off the highs by a little bit, ended in the green. KNR Construction was a decent mover. Afcon's recent listing, Zydus Life has fallen about 25% from the highs. A bit of upside today. Bharti Hexacon and Suvain Life Sciences were some of the other names. One common theme, of course, the 300-point fall on the Nifty is common today and yesterday. The other sort of big driver, which has been putting pressure on emerging market assets, has been the rise in the dollar. That was true yesterday. Dollar went up day before yesterday, or US overnight session went up during Asia yesterday, and it repeated that story. We woke up to higher dollar this morning, and the dollar index continued its march up during the Asian session as well. You need that to pull back a little bit to at least provide some respite. Institutional numbers have been pretty poor. FIs have continued to sell. So those are the two things which I think really at the margin will make all the difference. Back to you.
Right, Prashant, many thanks for those details. Now, it was a muted debut for Swiggy on Dalal Street. The quick commerce firm's stock listed at an 8% premium to the issue price. However, the stock witnessed strong buying as the day progressed.
Josh is high. I think we're very, very excited for the next wave of our journey as a company. I think there's so much going for. We have so many more investors, such a large, broad user base, investor base rooting for us, and we want to go out and do a really good job. So the profitability, even in the build-up to the IPO, we've talked about how the food delivery business has already gotten profitable, and we expect that to continue at a steady clip, whatever trajectory we've seen. And similarly, on the overall business, if you look at the mix of our businesses, there's that in our quick commerce business, Instamart, where also we've shown a healthy trajectory over the last 2-3 years.
Now with Swiggy listing, the comparison between Zomato and Swiggy will increase, and will, the questions between who's better and how should one value them increase as well. So just to look at the numbers for FY24, what stands out is while the revenues for both Swiggy and Zomato were pretty similar, Swiggy actually made an EBITDA loss of 2,200 crores, whereas Zomato's EBITDA profit was 42 crores. And the cash difference between Swiggy and Zomato was also fairly stark. At the lower level, at the bottom line, Zomato made a profit of 351 odd crores. The more recent numbers for Swiggy and Zomato have been the first quarter numbers. These are direct comparables. Out there, the revenue for Swiggy grew to around 3,200 crores, whereas the same for Zomato was 4,200 crores. Out here, the EBITDA loss for Swiggy narrowed to about 577 crores versus that of Zomato, which increased to 177 crores as well. And we did see the concomitant impact on the bottom line for both these companies as well. What really stands out are the segments. For food delivery, while Zomato is ahead of Swiggy, remember Swiggy is just about breaking even and has done extremely well in the first quarter, and the management believes that this will increase going forward. So in food delivery, that business has done well. The growth now lies in quick commerce. In quick commerce, Blinkit in the first quarter did revenues of close to 4,900 crores. The gross order value, that is, the same for Swiggy, was 2,700 crores, even as their dark stores were 557 and Zomato's Blinkits were close to around 639. Zomato's contribution margin in quick commerce was a positive 4%, whereas the same for Swiggy was minus 3%. So those are a couple of factors that we'll be watching out for. Break even in the contribution margin for quick commerce, even as the management intends to open 1,500 dark stores over the next 4 quarters. And secondly, how do the food business EBITDA, food delivery business EBITDA margins scale up would be the key determinant for how Swiggy trades versus Zomato.
Right, Mangalam, many thanks for those details. And speaking of Swiggy, SoftBank is holding on to its 8% stake in the food delivery platform. The Japanese investment giant did not sell shares today. SoftBank's India head, Sumer Juneja, believes Swiggy has significant headroom for growth. Juneja also signaled at a potential stake sale in Ola Electric in a thoughtful and gradual manner after the 6-month lock-in ends. Take a look.
Well, let's talk about Swiggy and your confidence in the bet that you've decided to make, and you didn't participate in the OFS. Is that on account of the fact that you believe that there's significant headroom for growth from here on?
I think there is. I think, look, there is very few times in a country and in an investing professional's career are you going to see such a large platform being created, right? When you have both food delivery and Instamart, when you have $5 billion plus of GMV, when you're touching 100 million plus consumers, when the repeat of orders is that high, and India is only becoming richer, more urbanized, and the product market fit becoming only stronger, we think Swiggy has a long way to go. Obviously, execution is important. There is competition, Zomato, Zepto. but I think the market is large enough, the product market fit is very strong, and that's why we didn't do any OFS, because we think there's a long way to go for Swiggy.
And you're holding 8% off it, so that's a sizable chunk. And you're committed to the investment in Ola?
Yes, so Ola Electric.
Electric, yes.
So just to be clear, obviously we are locked in for 6 months. We did very little OFS in Ola Electric. We did hardly in Swiggy. In FirstCry, we came down because we were a very large shareholder. All three companies, we think, have a long-term, a view and a long-term growth story. But we have to make money as well, right? we have LPs, we have SoftBank Group, who have invested in the SoftBank Vision Fund. So at the right time, we will pare down our positions. We can't hold them all forever.
So once the lock-in is over, you're looking at a partial exit, or?
Depends on the market, depends on the performance of the company, but it's definitely going to be a very thoughtful, gradual exit.
And you can catch that entire conversation with SoftBank's Sumer Juneja at 9:30 p.m. on Young Turks right here on CNBC TV 18. Shares of Gurugram-based renewable energy producer Acme Solar Holdings made a weak debut on the bourses. The shares listed at a discount of 13% over the IPO price. Acme Solar's 2,900 crore rupee IPO was subscribed nearly 3 times, led by strong demand from institutional investors. The company aims to utilize a large part of the funds for debt repayment. And staying with IPOs, NTPC's green energy arm, NTPC Green's IPO, will open for subscription on November 19th. The price band for the 10,000 crore rupee IPO has been fixed between 102 and 108 rupees per share. Shares worth 1,000 crore rupees will be set aside for existing NTPC shareholders under the shareholder reservation. This will be the 3rd largest IPO of the year. The government has cautioned public sector banks on the use of high-cost bulk deposits to finance large projects. Sources have told CNBC TV 18 that some PSBs are engaging in fine pricing of big-ticket loans, which may not be sufficient to cover the cost of bulk deposits. And speaking of the Department of Government Efficiency, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has announced that billionaire Elon Musk and politician and former Republican presidential aspirant Vivek Ramaswamy will lead the newly formed department. According to an official statement, both Musk and Ramaswamy will advise the White House from outside the government. The department will aim to drive structural reform and reduce bureaucracy. Trump has said that slashing excess expenditure and restructuring federal agencies will also be on the department's agenda. Remember, Trump promised that he would create the department during his campaign, while Musk said that the Government Efficiency Department will fix government spending.
I will create a Government Efficiency Commission tasked with conducting a complete financial and performance audit of the entire federal government and making recommendations for drastic reforms. We need to do it. Can't go on the way we are now. And Elon, because he's not very busy, has agreed to head that task force. Be interesting. If he has the time, that'd be a good one to do it, but he's agreed to do it.
All government spending is taxation. So whether it's direct taxation or all government spending, it either becomes inflation or it's direct taxation. Your money is being wasted, and the Department of Government Efficiency is going to fix that.
West Asia is on the boil. The Israeli military has killed at least 64 people in Gaza and another 28 in Lebanon in the last 24 hours as it continues to deepen its offensive in both the regions. Reports say that Israel bombed a makeshift cafeteria in an Israeli-declared humanitarian zone in Gaza. Israel has dismissed warnings of a famine in Gaza and called the accusations slanderous. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said Israel has accomplished its goals. He added that it was time for fighting in Gaza to end. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has appointed Mike Huckabee as the next ambassador to Israel. Huckabee, a former Arkansas governor, has a track record of a pro-Israel stance. In his previous statements, Huckabee has said that Israel has a rightful claim to the West Bank. And back home, Supreme Court has come down heavily on demolition of properties of those accused of a crime. The Apex Court has termed bulldozer actions a chilling sight and rules the executive cannot replace the judiciary. The court also laid down stricter guidelines for demolitions. Ashmit Kumar is here with all of those details. Ashmit, tell us more about the Supreme Court's guidelines on this front.
Well, the Supreme Court coming down strongly on bulldozer demolition, saying that it will not stand by idly and that it will ensure that there is accountability privately, personally, of the officers signing off on these demolition orders. Now, here are the facts of the case. There were a whole host of applications that had red flagged bulldozer demolitions taking place across UP, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan. These petitions had said that persons accused of mob violence were facing these demolitions. This is something that the Apex Court has come in on, has taken exception to, saying that this is very clearly the real motive behind these state governments. They're not looking to remove illegal structures, but rather they're looking to act against those persons who have been accused in cases of mob violence. This, the Supreme Court said, is wholly impermissible, is not constitutional, is in fact, even if the person is convicted, even in such a scenario, demolitions is not the punishment that has been conceived under Indian law. That this is not something that the Supreme Court will tolerate, that there needs to be accountability, and that to that end, the Supreme Court has given some very clear directions. Number one, the Supreme Court has said there needs to be a show cause notice. The show cause notice needs to have at least 15 days to ensure that at least the person has time to appeal this order. There needs to be a personal hearing. There also needs to be videography of these demolitions in question, that the municipal authority needs to demonstrate why demolition was the only possible alternative. And perhaps most importantly, the Supreme Court ruling that in any of these violations, if any of these court directions are violated, the officers responsible for the demolition will be responsible for restitution of the wrongfully demolished property at their own private expense, at their own personal expense. So very strong words coming in from the Apex Court.
Right, Ashmit, many thanks for those details. But coming up on India Business Hour, government issues guidelines to crack down on misleading advertisements by coaching centers. Details in just a bit. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still with us on India Business Hour. The first phase of assembly elections kicked off in Jharkhand today. 683 candidates are in the fray for 43 seats. It's a two-way battle between the BJP-led NDA and the Jharkhand Mukti Morcha-led India bloc. Till 5 p.m., Jharkhand recorded a voter turnout of nearly 65%. The polls will decide the fate of Chief Minister and JMM leader Hemant Soren. Remember, he returned as CM in July this year after being granted bail in a money laundering case. From Jharkhand to Maharashtra, which goes to polls on November 20th in a single phase, it's going to be a tough fight between the BJP-led Mahayuti and the opposition Mahavikas Aghadi. Shiv Sena UBT MLA and Worli candidate Aditya Thackeray says this election result will prove who the real Shiv Sena is.
Prove which faction is the real Shiv Sena?
It's not like which faction is the real faction. We are the real party.
It's being contested. So
only because someone steals something. The thief doesn't become the owner of the thing. In Mumbai, Eknath Shinde has stolen a seat from us. The Election Commission has helped him win that seat with that RO and whatever, the returning officer who helped Vaikar. So this is absolute crushing of democracy in front of everybody's eyes.
The government has issued guidelines to crack down on misleading advertisements by coaching centers. The Consumer Affairs Ministry has prohibited false claims like 100% selection and guaranteed job security, among others. Abhimanyu Sharma filed this report on the new guidelines.
The Department of Consumer Affairs has issued a set of detailed guidelines to curb fake and misleading advertisements by coaching centers which provide coaching to aspirants of civil services and several other competitive exams. It's a set of detailed guidelines which would be applicable to any coaching center which is providing coaching to over 50 students at a given point of time. Now, these guidelines have been issued after action had already been taken against several coaching institutes in the span of the past 1 year by the Central Consumer Protection Authority and a collective penalty of over rupees 55 lakhs was imposed. As per the detailed guidelines which have been issued now, coaching centers which are coaching over 50 students at a time would be covered, and explicit consent would be required from the successful aspirant after success in the exam, more so in case of a minor aspirant. Interestingly, in case of civil service exams or any other exam in which a person has to enter the government services, the person will have to ensure, the successful aspirant will have to ensure that he or she is not violating any service rule of the government while he or she is getting advertised as part of a successful testimonial of an institute, and no monetary compensation can be given to any such successful candidate. It remains to be seen how early the implementation of this is going to be enforced, since the guidelines are already enforced, and whether there would be any more coaching institutes which are going to be penalized.
India has a new sports craze, pickleball, a sport that started as a way for fathers in the US to entertain their kids. It is now a global phenomenon, and USA and India are leading the frenzy. CNBC TV 18's Rachna Dhanrajani reports that with India hosting its first pickleball tournament, sponsors and investors are sitting up.
What started as a way to keep their kids entertained in the US by three fathers is now a global sensation in the world of sports. Pickleball has been the fastest emerging racquetball game in the recent few years. Seemingly a combination of badminton, tennis and ping pong, it is a fairly easy game to learn and to play. But there's more to the story here.
Pickleball has now spread to 84 countries with over 5 million people calling it the sport of their choice. One of the many reasons it's catching on is that it's easy.
If I had to explain it to a beginner, it would be just very simple. You've got to serve cross-court, diagonal, be on the no-volley zone. It has to be underarm and it has to be below your belly button. Those are the simple rules. The rest on is you cannot step on and inside the no-volley zone line. And the rest is easy. I mean, anyone can pick it up. So it's just 1 or 2 hours and you're set to go.
Another is that it needs minimal equipment, has simple rules, and can be played across age groups.
So I wanted to reconnect with my dad, for example, and I'm taking him to play pickleball next week. It's like my brother, my dad, a few of my cousins, we're all going to go just play pickleball. It's easy to play, it's low intensity, you don't need to be coached specifically.
I was doing a road trip with my best friend in 2019 in Arizona. We were playing golf and the resort had pickleball courts. So we got on the court and we slapped the ball around. And I kid you not, from the moment I first played pickleball, I absolutely fell in love with the game.
In India, there are over 1,000 pickleball courts, and that number is only growing by the day. Conservative estimates suggest over 70,000 people enjoy the game and over 10,000 have turned professional, playing it professionally. The infrastructure needed is also less, which means lower costs.
See, there is 4 types of businesses that can be built. The first one is an infrastructure business. So you build courts and you build those courts for other people, right? So the second kind of business is the clubs and club operating business, where you build a, like we're here today in a 3-court facility, you build a 6-court, 8-court facility and you operate those clubs. The third kind of business is equipment business. And now you're seeing indigenous racket brands, like you're holding a racket that's made in India. Your fourth kind of business then is tournaments and ancillary infrastructure. There will eventually be some broadcasting, there will be sale of teams, there will be celebrities getting involved. You're seeing leagues where celebrities are buying.
The global pickleball market was pegged at $1.3 billion in 2022 by market research and is expected to hit $3.85 billion by 2032, a CAGR of 11.3%.
Today, at least in cities like Bombay, where we are today, you can't get a court. I have people inviting me for 7 a.m. games, 10 p.m. games, people saying go to work 1 hour late to play pickleball. The most interesting thing for me now is people are saying, I run a VC fund. So you meet founders at coffee shops, you meet founders at your office, you meet founders at restaurants, have a dinner. Now I'm having founders message me saying, yesterday I got a DM on Instagram saying, I see you're big into pickleball. I have 3 co-founders. Can we meet you for a game of pickle instead of meeting for a meeting?
Pickleball tournaments are also a big business. The India Open in Mumbai saw over 700 athletes from 12 countries compete, while Mumbai's Monsoon League featured over 800 players competing for a $100,000 prize. Companies like Fila, Swiggy, The Westin, Huddle, and even ITC are sponsoring tournaments, and organizers say more are showing interest.
Minimal spends on infrastructure, cost-effective equipment. Pickleball is not just social, but also economical in nature, and so has caught the eye of many investors and funds who are wanting to invest in the leagues, tournaments, associations of pickleball, as the sport is only expected to grow bigger and better as it gains more popularity across the country. In Mumbai, I'm Rachna Dhandrajani.
And with that, it is a wrap on this edition of India Business Hour. But tomorrow, we will bring you the CNBC TV18 Global Leadership Summit. Top policymakers and corporate leaders from India and across the world will be speaking and answering questions in front of an audience of almost 1,000 people in Mumbai. Don't forget to tune in.